Bueno, muy buenos días a
Good
todas. ¿Cómo
morning,
están?
everyone.
Bienvenidas a esta cuarta
How
sesión del
are
curso
you?
especializado
Welcome
en
to this
marketing de
fourth
acceso
session
financiero.
on the challenge of financing.
Eh, em, Hoy tenemos una sesión bastante intensa
Today we
porque
have a very
el
intense
objetivo es que
session,
usted
very
conecte su plan de
interesting. The
negocio
objective
con su
is that you
necesidad
connect your
financiera.
business
Lo
plan
que
with what you
implica
need
el rol
to
básico de
finance.
crear
What
proyecciones
is a
financieras
basic
simples a los
role to
inversionistas
create
y para que puedan
simple
aprender de este tema tan
financial
importante,
projections?
le doy la
And you
palabra
can
a nuestra
learn. I give
presentadora,
you the
Tonia
floor
Dawe.
to our presenter, Tonya Dawe.
Vale,
And here
hoy
we are.
vamos a hablar de
Today,
cómo
we're going
hacer
to
un
talk
plan de
about how
negocio.
to build
En su
a
caso de
business
negocio
case. A business case seems to
parecer algo
be
muy complicado, pero
something
es
that
muy
might be
sencillo.
very complicated, but
Tienes
it's really
como
very
que
simple.
explicar a un
It has to
financiero
do with
lo
how
que
to
quieres
explain a
hacer con el
financer
dinero
what
que
you want
estás
to do with the
pidiendo.
money that you're asking for.
Y hoy en la sesión,
Today, in the session,
como siempre, empezamos con una
we will
breve
begin with a short recap.
recapitulación con esta palabra.
I have such a problem with this word in Spanish, with a recap of last week.
Donde en la última sesión hemos
In the
hablado
last
de
session, we
cómo
talk a little
escribir un
bit
plan de
about how to
negocio.
write
He
your
compartido
business
una
plan
forma,
and
una
to share.
guía muy
I have
estable
shared a
de un mini
very
plan de
simple
negocio.
template of a mini
Hemos hablado
business
de cómo
plan.
definir metas SMART
We
de corto,
spoke
mediano
about
y
how to
largo
define
plazo para
smart
tu
business
negocio,
goals for the
cómo
short term,
describir
how
la
to
estructura de tu negocio
describe
y
your
cómo
business
utilizar la estructura
structure,
de ingresos
how to
para demostrar a
explain
los
your income logic
o a
to
los
show
inversores
funders
que tu modelo es
that
viable,
your
porque es lo
business
más
model
importante
is
para
viable,
ellos, como he dicho
because that is the
en la
most
primera
important
sesión.
thing for them, as I said in the first session and in the
Los
following
financiadores
sessions.
también son
Founders
negocios. Su
are
producto, su
a
servicio
business
es
in themselves.
vender
Their
dinero,
product, their
dar dinero
service
para
is to give
ganar dinero.
money
Entonces,
to earn
están
money.
buscando
Therefore,
soluciones
they are looking
robustas,
for
sólidas
solid
y
options
bien estructuradas
and
que pueden
well-structured
mostrar que son
options that
viables
can show that they are
para
viable
ellos
and that they are of interest
tener
for them,
el dinero,
because they don't
tener
want to lose their
la
money.
seguridad
They want to be sure
de que el dinero sea
that
repagado, creo,
they are going to be
sin
repaid
perder el dinero y también
without
con una tasa
losing
de interés
money and with an interest
o
rate
crecimiento, un
or with
aumento
an
en el
increase
valor
in the
de
growth
su
and in the
inversión.
value of their
Y
investment.
hemos
We have
compartido esta plantilla
already shared this
en el
template
campus del BIT,
in
la plantilla
the
tenemos
IDB
un mini
campus,
plan de
this
negocio.
mini business
También
plan
la última sesión
template.
tuvimos
In the
algunas
last
preguntas
session, we
que
also had some
no
questions
tuvimos tiempo para la
that we
respuesta.
didn't have time
Y
to
son estas las
answer.
preguntas.
And these
Una
are
pregunta
the
sobre el margen
one
bruto
was
de las
about the
cooperativas
gross
turísticas, algunas
margin
preguntas sobre la
of the
lógica de
tourist
financiamiento
cooperatives,
para
about the financing
empresas
logic
y también una
for
pregunta
companies,
sobre qué
and
tipo de
also a
plan de
question
negocio
about what
desean.
are
Quiero
founders,
empezar con la
impact
pregunta
founders looking
y
for. I
también
want to
incluir
start with the
una
questions and also to
otra pregunta
include
sobre un
another
ejemplo mío.
question
Lo voy a
about
compartir
an
en un
example of
momento.
my own that I'm
Vale,
going to share
empezamos
in
con
a
el
few
margen
minutes.
bruto de cooperativas
Let's talk about gross margin for tourism cooperatives.
Suele ser, y es una regla muy, muy
Usually,
general,
and
como
it
lo
is quite
dije
a
en la
general
sesión
rule,
anterior
as I
con
said
otro
last
tipo de
session
empresas,
with other
son
kind of
reglas muy,
companies,
muy
these
generales
are
y no
very,
sé
very
lo que
general
sería
rules because I don't know what it is
en tu país, en
applied
tu
in
sector
your
o
country, in
incluso
your
con el
sector,
financiador con
or
quien
with the
empiezas
founder
hablando.
that you are in
Pero la
communication
regla
with.
general
But the
es que el
rule
margen bruto de una
is that the
cooperativa
gross
suele
margin of
ser
a tourism
entre
cooperative
40 y
usually is between
50%. Pero
30
en
and
lugares más
50%.
rurales o para
But in more
cooperativas más
rural
pequeñas
areas or
puede
for
ser entre el
smaller
20 y
cooperatives, it can
30%.
be between 20
El
and
problema con las
30%.
cooperativas
The
turísticas
problem
que
with
buscan dinero
tourism
es que
cooperatives, if they are looking for
hay
money,
mucho
is
riesgo,
that
al
there
menos
is a lot of
del punto de
risk
vista
from
de
the
un
point of
financiador.
view of a
Puede
founder.
tener mucho
It
riesgo
can be
porque
of
hay
high
alta
risk. Why?
estacionalidad,
Because there's
costos
a high
fijos y
season,
también puede
high fixed
haber
costs,
muy baja
and
ocupación.
it may be that the occupation is very, very low. Paula, I see you, but just give me a moment. Some options that you might consider to mitigate these risks, that these perceived risks by the founders, it may be to create products that you can offer the whole of the year, that you can offer tourists on the whole year, or you may include the sale of local products, let's say to share resources between members, but also the idea of creating offers for target segments of higher value, sort of premium experiences, that is to diversify your income sources. And you can also, it could also be interesting, depending on the kind of funds that you are looking for. It could be interesting to link yourself to the impact business, that is to show how the tourism benefits the community, preserving the cultural heritage or giving jobs for the local communities. And another idea that I share is to make a professional management if you can sell services to determine whether your business model, where your business case is truly profitable or not. Now I want to make a very short experiment because we don't have much time left, but I want to explain something and then ask a question. In the first session, I explained a little bit. I made an introduction. I said that I work as an independent consulting firm. I work a lot with SMEs in areas such as growth. I work with the IDB. I also told you that I have in Liberia a foundation. My father is from Liberia. My mother is from the Netherlands. I grew up in Liberia. So let's think that I am a participant in this course, and I have listened to Donia about the importance of having a solid business case, about building a business case, about presenting my plan, my service, my product to the founders. And now I'm thinking, okay, let's build a business case. What can I do? I'm going to explain something to you, and then I have something. What do we do with this foundation, with these two pillars, entrepreneurship and education? And we have a private school that offers education to the adolescents and children that are in vulnerable situations. That is the education pillar. The entrepreneurship pillar, we work with a women and youth program, vulnerable women and youth. In Liberia, 70% of the population lives with less than $2 per day. We train and support these women with skill trainings, with microcredits, with business coaching, so that they can grow with sustainable business, that they can improve their lives of their families, their communities, and some simple things that they can send their children to school. It would be ideal to send them to our school, but at least to a school. We combine this with a gender program that has as subjects like women's health, gender violence, what to do in these cases. It's not a project. I think that it's very important to say that it is not a project. We don't support a group of women and then we are done and good luck with your company. We support these women over several years so that they can get in the basic level without any knowledge of business, without ever having a company, and within 2 years, over 2 years, they can advance to more advanced levels. In the basic levels, maybe you have no knowledge at all. In the first level, you have a company and you start getting some sales because you start developing your own business. In the next level, you have quite a lot of profits and you are thinking about growing. And in the last level, you are just ready to obtain a larger microcredit and you have a formal business. The key questions here for you, and I will really like to see your answers in the chat. The key questions, this organization, this program, this business, do I have customers or not? If you say yes, please tell me who are my customers or who are my potential customers. I would like to see your answers in the chat.
Ana Lucía dice, los inversionistas.
Ana Lucía says investors, donors,
Personas donadoras.
donors.
Nayeli, ¿quiénes son?
Nayeli says, sí, but yes, who are they? Yes, people in vulnerable conditions, donors. The customers are business women, investors, donors, youth, women, business people, investors, B2B, customers. Okay, please listen. The question is if I, with my program that I have just explained, does it have customers? I see many questions that are many answers that say investors, donors. Next question. Who are my founders? Are they the same people? Are they different people? Donors, investors, people that need to include a return of their investment, donors, investors, founders, investors, donors. Of course, thank you. Okay. You are right, but there is a different kinds that I don't see. Local founders, family, that would be something built. The women that are participating, the youth, are the entrepreneurs and the banks. Why? Because the group that I have here, these women, is a group of potential clients for banks, for founders. Therefore, in my case, in this example, I'm building a business case around several income sources, direct income, indirect income, and I'm thinking about the sustainability, the future sustainability. And I share this example because I want to explain, I want to show you that an NGO can build a business case and a company should be able to build a business case around the value that
a varios
it
tipos
can
de
offer to
financiadores.
different kinds of
Los
founders
financiadores
or
también son
clients.
clientes,
Founders
son tus
are
clientes.
also your
Buscan una
customers, your
respuesta a la
clients. They
pregunta,
look
¿por
for
qué
the
te daría
an answer to the
dinero?
question,
¿Por qué te
what
daría
would I give
parte
you
de los
money?
fondos que
Why
tengo?
would I
¿O
give
por qué
part of my money to
invertiría
you?
en tu
Why would I
compañía?
invest in
Y
your
en
company?
tu
In
caso
your
de negocio y
business,
también en el pitch,
in
la
your
conversación
business
que vas a
case, in
tener
your
con los
sales pitch
financiadores,
that you're
lo
going to
que
have with the
lo que
founders,
siempre es bien hacer
what you
es
should do
pensar, como lo he
is to
explicado
think, as I
en los
have
ejemplos
explained in the
anteriores,
previous
siempre
examples,
pensar en
you
qué es lo
should
que
think
están
of
buscando, qué es lo que
what the
necesitan,
founders
cuáles
are
son sus
looking
puntos
for,
débiles,
what
cuáles son
are
sus
their pain
deseos, sus
points, what
anhelos,
are
qué es lo
their
que quieren
wishes, what
y
are their
presentar tu
ambitions, what
negocio,
do
tu
they want, and
organización,
to present your
tu
business,
empresa
your
como
organization,
la
your
solución
company
o el
as the
instrumento
solution or the
que pueden
tool
ayudar a tu cliente
that might help your
lograr su
customer
objetivo
to
o su
reach
donación o
their
solucionar
goal
sus problemas.
or to avoid their
Creo que es este
problems.
punto que
I think that this is the point that
quiero
I want
enfatizar
to
hoy
emphasize
porque
today
veo
because I
en
see
las solicitudes de
in
financiamiento
all
que
the
son bancos
funding
participantes
asks
o
with
donantes,
banks or with
cuando
investors or with
dicen no,
donors,
casi
when they
siempre tiende a
say
ver
no,
con la presentación
usually this is
del valor
related
que
with
puede
the
aportar
perception of the
la
value
empresa o la
that the
organización
business, the
a
NGO can give
al financiador,
to the
donante que
founder, to the
necesita, que
donor,
está al
to the
otro lado.
investor that is on the other side
Vale.
of the party.
Inversores de impacto, creo que ya lo hemos pasado un
I
poco.
think
¿Qué
that
es lo que
impact
buscan? Los
investment,
retornos,
what
un
they look for,
impacto,
the
rentabilidad
return,
ajustado al
the
riesgo,
investors,
viabilidad
the rent,
financiera
the
al
profitability
financiador e
adjusted to the
impacto,
risk,
transparencia, instrumentos mixtos, no
transparency
quieren ser
in mixed,
solos,
in blended instruments. They don't want
y
to be the only one.
suelen tener sectores claves
And
de interés.
usually they have key sectors that they are very
Deben
interested
mostrar
in,
dos cosas, que
and
son
they
fuentes
should
rentables y el
show
impacto
things
real
that
y
their
medible.
the business is profitable and that the impact is real and measurable.
En qué enfocarme
That
ahora.
gives me a
Toca aquí.
better idea of where we are today, and of
Vinculación,
course,
necesidad de
trying to
financiación,
focus on the
meta
following
clara
sessions.
de
Try
inversión
to
es la
relate
necesidad de
your
recursos de
funding
la
need
inversión
with
es
a
elaborar proyecciones
clear
financieras
goal.
simples. También evaluar si tu solicitud de financiamiento
Estimate the
incluye
potential return on
financiamiento.
investment, build
Am,
simple financial
lo que
projections,
voy a
revenue,
decir
costs, net income,
se
assets, whether
deriva
your
al
funding
azar, pero lo
asks
que he visto
makes
muchas
financial
veces
sense. And what I
que
want to
los
say that I've
bancos
seen this a
financieros
lot,
tradicionales
that the
suelen
banks, the
limitar los
traditional
márgenes
funders,
alrededor del
tend to
20 a
limit the loans
30%
for
de las
small and medium
ventas
enterprises
anuales cuando se
around to
trata de capital
20 or
bajo.
30.
¿Qué quiere
When
decir
we
esto?
talk about the
Renta anuales de
revenue,
300
your
mil
annual
dólares, por
revenue, it
ejemplo.
is of
El préstamo que pudieras
$300,000. For
obtener de
example, the loan that you can
69
obtain
mil
is
dólares.
about 60 to
Esto depende, es una regla general otra
$90,000.
vez, esto
That
depende de tu empresa,
is
depende
not
de
a
tu
general rule.
financiador,
It
depende de
depends
las
on your
garantías del
company. It
colateral
depends
y
on
si
the
tienes
funder. It
deuda.
depends on
Como
the
regla
guarantees of the collateral, if those
general,
exist.
se
It's
ve
not
en
as a
tus
general
ventas
rule, but
más
I've
del
seen this
30% de las ventas anuales.
regarding
Para
banks.
préstamos
It
que
has to
son
do with 20 or
respaldados por activos
30% of
o de
the
tipo
annual
propiedad,
sales.
el financiamiento puede ser
And when we
mayor
talk
entre
about
50
if
y
you are
70% del valor de
supported
la
by other
garantía en
assets
la renta
or
anual.
devices or a property,
Para
then
micro o
this
muy
can
pequeñas
increase
empresas
of to a
suele ser
50 or
aún más
60%
difícil y en
the
este
value of your
caso,
guarantee.
porque
So instead
lo que
of
pueden
ba-
obtener
of
las líneas
basing
de crédito
yourself in the
pueden ser
sales, you
mucho más
can
reducidas,
do this
en el
in
rango
the
de 5
property
al
or in the assets that you
15% de
have.
las ventas.
For
Estamos
example,
hablando
if
solamente de
the
property.
range of sales is
Aquí es
to 5
importante
to
decir que el BID en este
15%,
momento está
then we are talking about the work capital. It's important to know which analysis we are talking about. For example, when we talk in Latin America and the Caribbean, to identify the funders that focus on entrepreneur women, on business women. Are those funders that are only banks, or those funders, do they have other better conditions for entrepreneurs, for business women that have better conditions for these micro companies or these small and medium enterprises? I don't know if you can share the planning. Rocio is not here today, but I know that you were going to share that information before regarding the sessions with the funders that we're going to have in the future. Let's hope to share that information. And what I would like to mention is that it's not so easy to obtain funding. It is really important to strengthen your company before going to look for money. So you have to have a funding. For looking for funding, you have to have a solid or a firm business model that works correctly, that your sales are growing, that you don't have less income, that you have several sources of income also, if it's possible, to strengthen your growth in your company and to show that your company is a very strong one. For the funder, it is really important to see clear numbers and a clear plan. It is important to see credibility behind the logic that you're looking for, the logic behind the logic of your funding that you're looking for, and to try to that you can be able to manage risk also, and to have a conviction and to really believe that you are thought everything over, what you're looking for, and goals in your company, and where you're going to use that money also. They want to see that, where you're going to use it to grow your company. The funding logic, it's really important regarding what you do. To see also the relation of what you want to achieve and why you need the money for. This is really important regarding your business goal. So I would like to mention something else, something that is really important, and it's really specific here, which is your demand, what you're looking for, this money, what are you going to do with the loan you're asking for? And something else that is important is the return on investment of your funders. If they give you money, they want to see the return on it. Which is the result? What are you going to do? Which is the result you're going to obtain with that money? This is a measure approximate of the profitability of your company and of the investment and in the loan. For example, if they lend you $50,000, that is what you want to obtain in sales. They will loan you $25,000. Then you can have a growth in sales of $30,000 per year. You're going to use these two numbers for the bank. What you're waiting to have, what you hope to have in revenue, and what they can give you, and how your sales are going to grow. This is really important for the banks. And if I can show you some forms, I always have some forms with me, and to show about the investors for what they are looking in these forms. For example, if they lend you $5,000, the cost will increase the benefit. For example, the growth can be of $3,000 in 12 months, and the return divided in the investment would be of 0.6 or 60%, for example. Another example, someone buys a property that it's valued in $500,000, and then they sell that property for at least $1 million at an initial value, less the end value. We divide that. I don't know if that's the correct word, but it has to do with the cost of investment, and you will have a return of 100%. What are the funders looking for? Maybe they don't look for perfection, but they're looking for a logic, a clear logic. They want to listen, they want to know that you have thought it over, that you know what you're looking for, that you know what you need and why you need it. If you need $40,000 in a loan, you need to explain why you need that amount, why that amount of money will go through your business and will help you increase your sales, to expand your business, to make it grow, to allow you to achieve your goals. This explanation is really important. It's more important than having perfect numbers.
I would like to give you a very simple template that you can use in your return calculation on the return on the investment. You will find it in the IDB campus in the academy. Expected profit divided by the investment. What is the amount that you need? What you are going to use this for? How much extra income? This is the essential. How much additional profit do you expect to generate in the next 12 months because of these funds? This is what they are very interested, founders are very interested in. That is to say, if I give you money, what will you be able to do with this investment or with this loan that I'm giving you? What will you do what will you be able to do in your business with this money? It is also interesting whether the financing can reduce some of your current costs. You will add up both, that is additional income and savings in your cost, to obtain your total profit, to your estimated total profit, and you can calculate this your return on investments. And these are the questions that you have to reflect on. I will go on. That is to say, capital that did no reimbursement. If you are thinking about a long-term investment, these 12 months are not important, but at the end of the day, the return on investments is, if you have 12 months or 5 years, what is the return that you can give back to an investor or to a bank? So the key question is, what are the sales? So how many additional sales or how much additional profit can you get with this investment or with this loan? And from these profits, these additional extra profits, what you are going to use to give back the money that you were given. Some general rules here for you. Again, I'm going to say that for founders, it is very important the logic of what you have. They need strong logic. What are financial projections? What are they? Your expectations of how your business will develop. You are the expert in your company, in your business. A founder cannot do this. They want to see that you really are proficient in the financial aspects of your business. All the processes, all the systems, they want to see really, to be persuaded that you really know what you're talking about. That means that your financial projections are very, very important for them. This is a window. It's a window of how well you understand your business, to explain the logic behind your business growth. And the founders will use these to assess feasibility and the risk of your funding ask. If you need $100,000 and your financial projection shows that you are going to have a growth of $5,000, you will not be able to use these extra profits to give back the money. They will tell you, no, we are not going to give you this money that you are requesting. You have to show whether your business is ready for funding.
So, the essential points that a funder sees when they're looking for your forecast, your projection, is your logical expressed in numbers. If the projections show how you way to win to obtain your return, to spend and to grow. So, for example, you hope to sell so many products, so much services, an amount of subscriptions per month. So when you're presenting your funding projections, your business plan that you're presenting, also you will write down something that is really detailed, something regarding this investment, how you're going to use that money, and the funder will read that, will read your business plan, and then he will read your funding projections to see if there's consistency in what you're saying and what you're showing, in what you're asking for and your funding projections. They're going to estimate the return on investment. They will need 5 months to give them back to return the money. But if I do an estimate, I see that I don't have enough money, I will need more money for 5 years. So that money to give it back will not be there. Asking to verify some things if your earning points make sense, if your business plans make sense, if there's a clear logic behind your projected logic. And to ask for $50,000, you will sell 1 million. You will need to explain what you're looking for. You will need to explain how you will have such a rapid growth. Another thing that you have to see, that the funder sees, how you make your cost structure. Remember, in the second session, we've seen the gross margin. This margin can help you to understand and to determine if what you have included, if there's all included in your funding projections. Your margins are strong enough to keep you on float. If you have negative margins in one product or in one service, you will need to explain what this means if you're asking for money, because they will, if not, they will ask you, I see this negative margin, this negative gross margin. What is this for? How you will explain this? How will you pay this? Can you solve this? Which will be the problem? Because if you cannot explain it or or say how to solve it, then that will be a problem for your funder. And also how risky your business is. If you have very strong peaks, if you're selling, for example, 1,000 a year, and then you're asking for 50,000 and you're going to sell 1 million, how? What's the logic behind that? Why are you saying that? If there are some gaps in the income and costs, you need to have a balance moment. How much time will this last, these gaps that you're going through right now? And how to optimize and how to show that you're going to have some growth and some revenue. How will you use this funding? Your projections should support the logic behind your funding request. You need to show these projections right now, how your company is going to be developing without this investment, without this loan. Which are the projections for the following, let's say, 12 or 18 months, or sometimes maybe thinking about 3 years or 5 years, depending on what you're asking for. You can create a second projection that can include this investment and or this loan that you're asking for in order to show the funder that your business is as usual. There is no investment, no change in funding, and to show what you will reach when you have this funding, this injection of money. And your projections will also support your funding, your logic behind, and also it will analyze and it will show how you will grow in a clear and measurable way if it generates enough from that funding. And of course, you will have growth, but you will have more costs, and how you will manage these costs. And do your numbers support this return on investment? They see if you're ready for that. They see these projections help funders assess your readiness for funding. They are not looking for perfection, but preparation, a firm preparation. I want to have this conviction that you know what you're talking about. I will again now show another template for those that you have a lot of experience with funding projections. There will be something that you know about. It will be something common for you, something that you already know about. But if you've never done this, it can be something that can help you create projections and build them. Let's see. This template, we will also show them, share them in the IDB Academy. And of course, at the end of this session, we can share the link in the chat for this template. Maybe you could also download from the internet, some free template. What we usually see in this projection is we see a projection by month. Maybe you can see it by quarter, but you can also see each month, 12 months, your receipts, your bills, and you can see what you have, the receipts of cash payments, less the costs of the sold assets or sold goods. You can also see the operating expenditures or the additional expenditures, and you can see the cash flow here. And you can also use maybe a smart sheet, for example. You can see in this example, this is a company that is not going to survive. If you can see closer, if we do a very simple analysis, we can put here sales of the first quarter, and then we can locate here the expenditures, the costs here. You can see that they are very high. If you present, for example, this projection to a funder, I guarantee that you won't be given that funding, that loan. If you present a very clear and strong plan, and you can show them that you can you can get out of this situation, maybe you can get this loan, this investment. But I repeat, the most important thing is to try to build a strong company, a firm company, solid one, a company that doesn't need funding in order to survive. Maybe to grow, yes, but not to survive. Maybe to create new products, new services, to expand themselves. But this funding, it's not going to be there to survive. that will only give you funders from family and friends. The funders look that if you cannot survive with your company, they are not going to give you money. They are not going to lend you money if you cannot survive in your company, because you're not to be able to return it, to give it back. I think I need to continue. I'm going back to my presentation. Here we are. Let's see. Just a moment. It's loading. Yes, here we are. Okay. So, up to now, do you have any question? I'm not sure I can read the chat right now. I will try. I will try to see. Is there, Andrea's sharing, is there any methodology to try to make these estimations in political and economical stability scenarios? Okay, what I will do, I will try to find the version in English, because I now only have this version in Spanish, but it's not free. I could not find a template for free, but I found a template that it's very detailed, that you can incorporate there. You can add there every assumptions of your budgets. You can add your budgets there, your projections in one Excel tab, and you can calculate, estimate what will happen in different scenarios if everything goes okay, and another scenario if everything is not okay. Different scenarios to try to determine which are the results, which would be the consequences in your projections when talking about funding. Yes, the assumptions, that would be, yeah. I'm sorry, assumptions? I couldn't find the word in Spanish. Let's see right now. Another question if we have on the chat. Yes, let's see. Vale, yes, which would be the main points of what we have said today. It is important for you to connect your application of funding with your business plan, to have a clear return on investment, to have it clear, and to show your projections that they need to show that you understand your business, and that the funders find the logic behind, not only passion or hope that because sometimes when I see some companies with which I work with, I said this in the first session, this is an irony, when you don't need money, it's really easy to find funding. But when you need money to survive, it's really difficult to find this funding and to obtain it. When we're talking about these funding projections, you need to show the cost analysis, you need to show your margins analysis, and you need to show and to get to a point where you can show your funders that you are profitable, that you have profitability, and you can have growth, and you have a stable cash flow, and at least you have a clear business plan for the future. You need to be able to explain this plan. You need to reach to this point. Now, I want to end that a good return on investment doesn't guarantee funding. Why? Because it depends on the business in your country, in the conditions in your country, on several requirements. But at least if you have a good projections, you can show that to your funders, you can see that you have done your task, and you can generate trust and reduce the perception of risk. So,
thank you very much.
Diapositiva, la última.
So let's go to the last slide.
Actividad de autoestudio, si pueden, si tienen
So a self-study
tiempo.
activity, if you have time,
Mi recomendación
I
sería
would
intenta
recommend
calcular
to
su
try to
ROI y
calculate
crear
your
sus proyecciones
return on
financieras
investment
y
and
no
to
olvidar que el
create your
próximo
financial
trimestre sí que
projections.
depende un poco
And you
de
can
qué tipo de financiamiento
do it for the
están
next 3
buscando.
months.
Y como he
So it
dicho
will depend on
anteriormente,
what kind of financing you're looking for.
es buena
And
idea
as
crear
I've
como dos
said,
proyecciones,
it's
una
good
proyección
idea
para
to create
mostrar
2
cómo se
projections,
desarrollará
one
tu empresa
projection
si
to
no
show
tengas y
how
si no puedas
your
obtener este
company will
financiamiento,
develop
y
if
la
you
segunda
cannot
para
get
mostrar
these funds,
cómo
and the
puedas
second projection to
crecer
show
con
how
esa
you can grow
inversión
with
con
this
este
investment
préstamo.
or with this loan.
Ya estamos a la hora.
So we have
Tenemos
reached our time
preguntas, nos
limit.
quedan
Do
preguntas.
we have any
Si no,
questions
voy a
left?
invitar a
If
Andrea
not, I'm going to
para
invite
cerrar
Andrea
la sesión.
to wrap up this session.